Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is part 2 of this shell terminal series. In the previous video, we spoke about what a shell is and how it can help you as a developer. In this video, we are going to be looking at shell navigations and basic commands. At the end of this video, you should be able to confidently navigate the shell terminal and perform some basic tasks with the shell terminal, which includes creating, moving, and manipulating files and directory. So let's get to it. To better understand the general functions of these shell commands, I categorize them into 5 categories, which are the commands for navigation, commands for file manipulation, commands for display and file redirections, command for permission, and finally, utility commands. The commands for navigation are commands that help you move between directories and subdirectories. The commands for file manipulations are commands that help you create, copy, move, and process your files. The commands for display and redirections are commands used to display the contents of a file and redirect its contents into another file. The commands for permissions are commands that give permissions to a file. And finally, the utility commands are commands that give you look into the system and help you with version controls and other system utilities. In this video, we are going to emphasize the first 3 categories, which are the commands for navigation, the file manipulation, display, and file redirection. So let's get started. From the table, we take a look at the most commonly used commands for navigations, which is the cd, the pwd, the ls, the man, and the clear. The cd which change the directory, the pwd which print the working directory, the ls which lists the directory content, the man which is the manual, and the clear which clear the terminal screen. So over here, we're going to make use of those commands to navigate the shell. Right now, it can be found seen in the system directory, which holds the system files. If I type in the cd now, I'll be directed into the users directory, users folder. Now, this directory is directory made for the system user. I use the ls command to list the content of this directory, and we can see directory 1 and directory 2. To move into directory 1, I use the cd again command to move into directory 1. And I'm in directory 1. You know that I have navigated into a directory with its extension, the directory name extension added to this name. Okay? And if I list the content of this directory, you can see directory 1 files there. So if I want to go back into the previous directory, I use this command cd ... to go back to the previous directory. You can see I'm in the previous directory. Okay, then if I want to move into directory 2, cd directory 2, and you can see directory 2 displayed here. I list the content here. I can see directory 2 file. I go back cd to the previous directory, and I'm back into the previous directory. Okay, so what about if I want to navigate from directory 1 to directory 2 without having to go back into the previous directory and move into directory 2 again? Let's move into directory 1. Okay, I'm in directory 1 and I want to move into directory 2. Since directory 2 is on my user directory, my home directory, I can use this sign, the tilde sign. The tilde sign will refer back to the user's directory to call on directory 2. I can see, voila, I'm in directory 2 from directory 1. Then I use the clear command to clear the terminal. So this is the basic commands used for shell navigation. But what about if I want to go to directory 1 from directory 2? If I use cd and a hyphen, I'll be able to move back to the directory 1. You can see the name of the directory which I moved back to was given here to signify I went to my previous directory, and I can still call it again and I move back to directory 2. But if I use the cd dot dot, what happens? I move to the previous directory in which directory 2 was present in. And that is the general way of which you can navigate the shell. Then if at any point I want to know where I am, I use the pwd, which prints the current working directory in which I'm present in. You can see it over there. So even if I go back to my home directory and use the pwd, I can tell from there that I've moved back to my home directory, which is called Vagrant. So that's how you can navigate between the shell easily with the change directory command. Also, the man command is simply a manual for finding out the meaning of each command. You can see the pwd print the name of the current working directory. Okay, then I use the clear command. The clear command so I use Ctrl L, which is clear for Windows, or Command L for Mac OS. We clear my terminal screen. So I put together the most popular used commands which I use for file manipulation, which are the touch command, which creates a file, the mkdir, which makes a new directory, the rm command, which deletes a file or directory, the rmdir, which deletes an empty directory, the cp, which copy a file, the mv, which move or rename a file, and the sort for sorting the line of text of a file. Alright, let's put these commands to use. Okay, so ls my users directory, directory 1 and directory 2, and I want to create a file. I'll use the touch command and I'll name this file my home file, and voila, the home file is being created. Then if I want to make a new folder or directory, I use the mkdir, then the name of the directory which I want. I can create multiple directories, rmdir directory 1, directory 3 and directory 4. Okay, and I have all these directory present. I clear my terminal so that I can see it well. What is directory presence? Okay, then I move into this directory 3 I just created. Okay, then you can see nothing. I hit the ls command and nothing came up because there's no file present in that directory. So I create a file there. So should I call it directory 3 file? Okay, and it's being created, and you can see the directory 3 file. I move back to my present directory, and directory 4 file is still empty. So now, to use the rm command which deletes a file, if I should use the rm on directory 3, okay, you can see I received an error doing this for directory 4 too. I received an error again. Okay, so let me try the rmdir, which delete directory on directory 3. Another error. So the rmdir arrow cannot remove directory 3 because the directory is not empty. Okay, you can see it is not empty. That's why I can remove it. But if I use the rmdir arrow on directory 4, which is empty, I should be able to delete the directory with no problem. And if I clear my terminal and this, you can see directory 4 is gone. Okay, but what about if I want to delete the directory 3 in which I have a file in it? I use the rm and flag r to delete the directory and specify directory 3 which I want to delete, and voila, it's deleted. Alright, so now to make use of the copy and cp command, click on the, when you talk about the copy command, you're moving a file, you're kind of duplicating the content of a file into another place or directory. So let me copy this home file into any of this directory. Okay, and I copy it into directory 1. Yes, and I move into directory 1, and you can see the home file is present. Meanwhile, the home file is still present over here. So I've copied the home file from my home directory into a directory in my home. Okay, so let me go back previous to directory 1, clear my screen. I don't know, I like clearing my screen so that I can have enough space to see what I'm doing. Okay, then what about if I want to move this home file out of directory 1 to directory 2? I use the mv command and I call on the whole file and I call on the directory in which I want to move into. Since there's no folder here, I want to move it into directory 2, which is on my home directory. Remember, I use the tilde sign and I call on directory 2. Okay, and voila, it's being moved from directory 1 to directory 2. That same way, I can navigate to directory 2 directory and check it. I can see the home file present here. Okay, so that is how you can move files within different directories and create a file another. But the mv command don't just move a file from one directory to another, but it can also rename a file. Okay, let's take a look at this. So let's take, for instance, you're trying to move the home file and you didn't specify where it should be and there's no other name or existing name for that file, and maybe I just call on file, name I want to name it to. Come over here, you can see I've renamed the file from home file to file. Alright, then I clear my screen, and if I choose ls, maybe ls flag A. I don't know that I mentioned previously that each of these commands have their own flags. The ls flag A shows the hidden files, and ls flag L give us a long format of listing which has the permissions over here, which I'll discuss in a later video, and the time these files were created. Okay, so commands for display and file redirection. Redirection is a property of the shell terminal in which the content of a file can be moved from either a file to another file or moved from a file into a command for processing. And the listed commands here are my most used commands which are used in displaying the contents of a file and file redirection. Okay, let's look at it. So if you're not using a text editor, maybe to look into the file, because there's some shell text editor like we used last time, the VI or the Emacs shell text editor, you can directly view the content of the file using the cat command. Okay, and you can see the content of this file over here. Right, you can also make use of the less command to view the content of a file. You can see what this does. You view the content of that file gradually. You can't scroll down, you can't see it all, so it goes down line by line until you reach the end of the file. and you exit it with Q, and in more. So more is almost similar to the less command, but there's a slight difference. Whichever I want to use is based on your personal preference. Okay, and these are ways you can view the content of a file. Then the echo commands echo back whatever you see. I echo back what you see, or display a line of text. It can also be used to redirect a content into a file. Let's look at this. What we wrote last, and let's redirect it into the home file with the greater than code symbol. Okay, and if you look into the home file, you can see I echo what you see, and we can see add something else with this, a method of redirection. On another video, I'll take you through redirection and piping of commands. So what I want to do now, maybe I can, if I should put in another command, I would overwrite the content of this file. If I should use a single greater than again for the home file, it will overwrite the content of this home file. You can see it overwrote it. But now if I want to append to the end of the line of this home file, I can do this. I will append to the end of the home file. I make use of the two greater than to append it and type in the name, and if I should look at the content of the home file, voila, appended what I last wrote into the end of the home file. So that's redirection for you. You can use either the greater than symbol to redirect into a file, or you can use less than to redirect an input into a command. On a later video, I'll talk more about redirection and piping, so that I'll be able to know the use of that. Then let's look at the head and the tail. The head command output the first part of the file, while the tail command output the last part of the file. So let's see how that does. I have a file here which is ctalk, which I just used to take down some random notes some time ago, and I'm going to call on this head command to work on this ctalk to see what it does. And you can see it gave me like some lines, which is supposedly the first 10 lines of this file. Let's move into the file ctalk and see whether that is so. So I use the vi command. You can see it gave me the first 10 lines of the file. The first 10 lines of the file. Okay. Then if I should use the tail command, tail ctalk, it also gives me the last 10 lines of the file. If I should enter the file ctalk again to confirm that, and I move to the extreme end, the file, you can see it gave the last 10 lines. I left nothing there, I left blank space. It gave exactly the last 10 lines. And also bear in mind, like I said, some of these commands have flags that will allow you to better use them. To learn more about this command, you can make use of the manual. I read the manual of the command, and it will tell you all about this command to help you navigate the file. Okay, that is all for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, turn on the notification button. Bye.